Hey adventurers, so today is going to be another book review. This is going to be for The Legend of Blackjack by A.R. Witham. This is a self-published portal fantasy. It's an adventure story, a coming of age. There's a bit of a prophecy trope to it as well, and then I'm not entirely sure what exactly the age range or the target age range is supposed to be, but I put this under YA. I feel like that's a fairly fitting location for it to be, and when I say it's YA, I don't mean that it is YA in terms of like tropes and stuff like that, just in terms of the writing level, the reading level of the potential readers, stuff like that. So it's not a YA story in terms of the way that we think of YA as a genre. It's YA as an age range. So, The Legend of Blackjack is a book about a teenager who's transported to the magical realm of Keymark, where he is then forced to grow and use and develop skills that he didn't know that he had in ways that he never thought that he could. It's so much more than just that, though. It's a very character-driven story. Before I get into the rest of this review, though, I'd just quickly like to say, if you're liking what you're seeing from an Erudite adventure, we would really appreciate it if you would like, comment, and subscribe. So, Jack is a very cool character, in my opinion, and one that I can't help but love, but maybe for different reasons than other people. For me, okay, let me phrase it this way. Let me phrase it as I wrote it down. He has a certain skill that I've always wished that I had, and so seeing how it can be used, especially in a fantasy world, is also in many ways a dream come true for me, because it's something that I wish that I had and that I could use like that. But he's also hurting. Of course, there's the moment where he has to face the big bad in this story, and that's always going to be an important part of any adventure story. But facing himself is the most important part of the story, and that's a theme that I will always love, when the major theme of the story is overcoming yourself. Not that what you are is bad, but that you can be more, and seeing the people become more through that struggle is something that I will never get tired of seeing, even if it's done poorly, which it's not in Blackjack. But still, it's just a theme that I really love seeing. Keymark is a super cool place too. Fantasy worlds are famous for their unique and cool settings. Wow, I'm using cool a lot in this review. And Keymark absolutely meets that requirement. The lore, the legends, the landscape, everything about it is fun, but there's also more than that. The creatures, the fantasy races, giant talking rhinos, magic, the way that the magic in this world is used, and so much more. As I think back on this one though, I'm remembering the various sequences and locations that they take place in, and it's such a rich world. There's just so much so much vividity to this world and to the description in this world. I love the forest sequence, the cave sequence. Those two just stick in my mind. The mountain pass sequence. There's so much that is just in my mind, and I mean even the stuff on the sea. Really, I could just start naming scenes, and those of you who have read this book would probably know exactly what I'm talking about, like I just was doing. But I'm not going to do that. What I'm saying here is I love this world. That's all really I'm saying. And then there's Witham's writing. It's super engaging. It reads really quickly, but there's more than enough time to breathe and enjoy the world in this story. It's not just action, 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 action. It is, but it doesn't ever feel like you're not living. And yet there's so much that happens still. So many characters we meet and places we go. There's light and dark and cozy and creepy and straight up terrifying at times, but through it all there's hope. And that's something this is why I have found that I really don't think that I care for grimdark, is because grimdark as a genre is lacking that hope. And when hope is the through line in a story, it really helps me to enjoy the story. There really isn't a ton in this book that I have issues with. There's a few tropes that I generally don't love, but they're done well enough here. A few typos that I found, I can't think of where I couldn't find them again unless I reread the entire book. But mostly, the book itself worked for me in a way that so few books do. There's one sequence where all I could think of is, what if Obi-Wan and Anakin had shard plate? And that's all that I could think of throughout this whole sequence, and it was so much fun to see, and it was exactly the type of thing that I want from a story. I want to see a story do new things in a different way than I've ever seen before, and that's exactly what this was. And even though I read this back in June, it's still one of my top books of the year. So this was like the middle of the year that I read this book. And there's a couple other books that I have read that are up in the top books of the year with it, but none that I can think of specifically within the fantasy genre, especially, that can dethrone it. And I will undoubtedly reread it several times. Oh, and then there's Fuji. Just gotta love Fuji. So I can't wait to read more in this world. I know Witham has a novella, which is, can I remember what it's called off the top of my head? It is The Tale of the Border Knight. That's what the novella is called, and I do really want to read it, and I know that he's writing more. I don't know if he's writing more in this world or in the with this character or anything like that. I don't know what the plan is, but I do want to read more by him because I've really loved this one. So that is my review for The Legend of Blackjack by A.R. Witham. Thank you guys for watching an Erudite adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday, and at the moment also on Saturdays. We will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.